Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys? Good evening. Happy Saturday. Hope your weekend's off to a good start. Um oh, I need to fix my background. I'll do that later. I spruced up the channel a little bit. I needed to do something new. I hope this profile picture is good for everybody and makes me look less Letitia like. Apparently, that has been going around. So there you go. I took this yesterday. So, anywho, there you have it. I hope everybody's doing good. If you would please do your girl a favor. Do me a solid, give me a thumbs up. If you feel like it, give me a thumbs down. It's fine. I don't judge. You do you. All right. So tonight we're going to do everything you need to know before trial starts. Now, as you guys know, where we left off Friday. Okay. Friday was the trial or the hearing for Sarah was not streamed. Okay. So I waited and it did get uploaded. It was a Zoom. The audio is horrendous. Okay. But there's this one part, and I'm sorry that the audio is going to be so horrendous. And before I start it, I will let you guys know so that before I start it, so you can turn your earbuds down or your TVs down or whatever it is that you need to turn, however you're listening, turn it down because it's bad. Okay. But there's this one part I want you to hear. But to be, the truth is, what happened was people got a hold of the Zoom link. Media did. Media was able to get into the Zoom link. I shouldn't say people. Media was, and there was a situation where mics weren't muted, which is disruptive, obviously, and there was another YouTuber we have talked. We've like looked at some of her stuff, caricatures productions, and bless her heart, she got the blame, but it wasn't her. Okay, what had happened was somebody was in the Zoom who was also listening to her. And so you could hear her, and people, I think, incorrectly thought that it was her that was talking, that she was in the Zoom and she wasn't. So I wanted to clear that up for her because I think she got like unfairly blamed for something that she didn't do. Oh, thank you so much, Carolina. I appreciate that. Let me say hi to you guys before we really get into it because it's been a minute and I want to say hi. Hi, Sissy, she, Annette. Good to see you. KPM, Neat Noodle. Thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome, Carolina, Janice, Shauna. Good to see you. Petunia, Roberta. I can't talk. Good to see you, babe. Bama Green Eyes, good to see you. Yana, good to see you too. Welcome in, welcome in. I think I got everybody. If I missed you, it wasn't intentional. I'm pretty sure I got everybody. So good to see you guys, everyone. I'm glad you guys are here. All right. So that was a hey Dee, good to see you. So that was that. Okay, so there's only this little one part that I want to play for you guys. And hang on just 1 second. Right here is what I want to play for you. Let me make this full screen. Oh, wait, no, I don't want to do that because I can't see my other screen. Oops, my bad. Hold on. All right, let me go over here. All right. Unfortunately, because of that, not a whole lot actually got accomplished at this hearing. And so the things that we were really waiting on to hear about, we're going to talk about that, KPM. I got you, babe. Don't you listen. Bindi is on it. Okay. Um, I have watched the Vinnie Politan Investigates. We're going to watch it because I thought it was really interesting. And hey, Lynette, good to see you. Julia, good to see you too, babe. Adrian, hey, babe. So listen, also, I understand Helene is still acting a fool. Okay. She has left Florida. She came on vacation. She gonna leave on probation because she is acting a straight fool all the way up the northeast, I guess, all the way north. And I'm be careful if you're in her path. We got another one out there apparently brewing that is going to go potentially the same way. We don't need it. We don't want it. It's the end of the hurricane season. I mean, we still have a month all the way till November, but still, okay. Like it's October and almost for all intents and purposes. So we don't need any more hurricanes. Hey, Sojourner. Okay. Um, so not a whole lot really got accomplished at that Zoom meeting because there were audio issues from the beginning and it had nothing to do with anybody. Okay. It's just bad, just terrible audio and whatnot, and technical issues, yada, 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 whatever. Anywho, so that happened. Okay. And the one thing that so basically what happened was Judge Kranick said, hey, listen, let's reschedule this hearing for October the 2nd, which is a motions to suppress. Now, there were some things that were interesting that we learned during this hearing. I'm going to play the hearing. I'm going to skip around a little bit. The whole video itself is 44 minutes. We're not going to listen to the whole 44 minutes because quite frankly, we're just the first part, like almost, I don't know, probably 10, maybe 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. I don't know. It's them working on the audio. And we're going to skip around, we're going to get out of that. We don't need to listen to all of that, but we are definitely going to listen to Vinnie Politan Investigates. And the reason we're going to listen to Vinnie Politan Investigates is because not only was Owens on that on his show, but Owens was on that show with the one, the only Frank J. Bankowitz, Sarah Boone's sixth attorney, the attorney that I think she must have written the most letters about. And so, yeah. Hey, Nicole, can you come clean my house? Just kidding. My house is clean. I don't really need it cleaned. I could use a vacuum. I have to vacuum this weekend. I try to do it every few days because of the hair, but I haven't wanted to because some of Nestor's hair is still around and I don't really want to vacuum it up. I know that's stupid. But I don't know. I just don't want to do it. Anyways, let's not get down that road. I'm having a hard time. So I'm going to focus on Sarah. Anyway, so they're not going to address the hair and makeup issue. That will be addressed in chambers. My personal opinion on it is this. I say, give her, give her some makeup, give her a brush, and call it good. Let her, give her a hair dryer, whatever, let her do her hair. But if somebody is going to volunteer on their dime to come in and do that, then I don't really care. But if it is something that is going to result in it being a cost to the taxpayers, then I say no. Give her a blow dryer, a brush, maybe some hair product, give her a roll brush so she can do something with that bob, and call it good. Because I think the taxpayers have paid enough, frankly. Hey, Love Louie, good to see you. I'm done. I'm over it. I've had enough. Hey, is that Alicia? Yes. Hi, Alicia. Good to see you. At first, it looked like Aisha, and I didn't want to say her name wrong, but good to see you. All right. So let me make this big. Oh, wait, hold on. Don't do that yet. Yeah, I already got it. Okay, cool. All right. So let me make this bigger. Let me unmute it. Let me turn it up. Now, everybody, I'm going to add it to the stream. And what I need for y'all to do is turn your volume down. Okay. And then, cause it's bad news bears. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's see. As you can see, Sarah is in the courtroom. She is present. I'm just going to talk a little bit because this is on Court TV's website. It is not on their YouTube. And I don't really want to mess with it a lot because I don't want to I don't want you to miss the part that we need to hear. And I'm not really sure how good the skip is on this because I don't usually skip. So I'm just going to make small talk. One of the issues also that came up during the hearing Friday is, and I have to agree with the state here. The state has alleged that Owens is filing things quite late, and they don't like it. I'm going to look at KPM wants to know if Owens got that motion filed last night. I'm sure he did. Of course, we're going to go over to the Orange County clerk's website. We're going to take a gander at that because I've got some stuff I want to talk about there. But I will say that there is a video on Court TV. It is under their members only, okay? And it is an interview with Frank Bankowitz. And he addresses this issue of the Miranda rights.
I'm ready to go.
And
William J. for the state.
Mr. Owens, you are muted, sir.
Judge, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Can I get your appearance for the record?
Yes, I'm James Owens, and I'm here representing Sarah Boone. I believe I'm the only counsel that's going to be here today representing Sarah Boone.
All right, very good. Ms. Boone is in the jury box. Ma'am, if you could please raise your right hand. Madam Clerk's going to go ahead and swear you in.
We just started, so there is no party without you, teacup crack.
Good afternoon. Can you state your full name and date of birth for the
all
record
here.
for me?
Let's go.
All right, we are here on trial case management. In this case, I know there's been some activity over the last couple of days in the court file and correspondence between Mr. Owens's office, my office, and the state attorney's office in attempting to coordinate some hearings. The first item on the court's list is whether or not the examination of the defendant took place as ordered in the court's September 20th order.
No, Your Honor, there's no time.
Okay, when do we believe we're going to have the opportunity to have that examination by the expert of the state's choosing?
Wednesday, October 2nd at noon.
Okay, and has that been cleared with everyone's calendars? Mr. James, Mr. Owens, is that accurate, sir?
That is, Judge, I can't see my client. I don't know if that is an issue or not.
There you go, sir. He's on the far right-hand side of the box.
I see you, Judge.
Okay, very good. All right, so that examination is taking place on October 2nd at 12 noon. The next item that I have on my list is depositions of the recently appointed experts for the defense. I know Dr. Harper's deposition is set to take place on October 1. With regard to Drs. Brennan and Birkeland, are those depositions in the process of being scheduled, or what's the status on those today?
I was told by the defense that they're not calling Dr. Birkeland. He was only going to be a consultant. So there will not be a deposition of that doctor. The other doctor, we have made attempts to try and coordinate and not gotten anywhere with that. I am not even sure what he is going to do.
Judge?
Hang on, let Mr. J finish his point, sir.
I'm not sure if he's going to be testifying to battered.
Judge? Hello?
Mr. Owens, we can hear you loud and clear.
Did y'all see that, Mr. Okay, I know this isn't funny, but sometimes like you got to see the humor in the situation, okay? This case has been an absolute dumpster fire from the beginning, okay? And did y'all see him chunk his pencil or his pen? Listen, I would have done the same thing. And sometimes you just have to take a moment to just laugh a little bit. It's necessary. It really is. And in that spirit, Pinche Becky, 0F's given, has been a member for 6 months. Thank you so much, Pinche Becky. I appreciate that, babe. Thank you for the support. But this is what's interesting to me, like, honest, just like for a second, let's be serious just for 1 second though, okay? It is Love Louie. It is like an SNL skit. It almost doesn't seem real. Okay. Like this is the stuff that's going on. And I can't even believe it's happening in front of my face. And sometimes I want to pinch myself that, because I can't believe what I'm watching. But okay, to just take it back for just a second. Okay. So Dr. Birkland is the death investigator, crime scene reconstructionist. That is who they're talking about, who now is only going to be a consultant. And I'm trying to, and he's not going to testify. So I'm sort of curious about how I understand what he does, right? I get it. I know what a death investigator is, and I know what a crime scene reconstructionist is, so I'm just trying to understand if that is going to make listen, I'm about the bottom line, okay? The taxpayers in Florida have shelled out so much money for this trial. It's unbelievable. And we're not even to the trial yet. This is going on, to put it as Sarah puts it, ongoing 5 years. And I'm over it. Okay. And so I have a very low tolerance with, okay. So if you, I'm Pinche Becky, LOL, you say my name with so much gusto. It's because of the name. It's because of Pinche, that's the F word. And you got to say that one from your guts. Anyway, hey, Mayla's mom. Hey, Nicholas. Good to see you. All right. So glad you guys joined us. So I'm curious if he's only consulting, if that takes down his hourly rate, because, excuse me, as a taxpayer in Florida, I would like to make a motion before the court and the members of this audience here, the members of the jury, if you will. I would like, I would say, I think if he's not going to testify and he's not going to reconstruct any crime scene or investigate a death, I feel like his rate should be cut. Okay. That's all I'm saying. That's it. I'm not saying don't pay him. I'm just saying pay him a little bit less. Okay. Now, the reason I wanted to play this part, and it's super annoying, is because honestly, it's like Sarah Boone and Mr. Owens are like they're like peas and carrots. They remind me of each other. They act similarly. And I'm going to rewind it just a little bit because I want you guys to really pay attention to when he pay attention to, wait, you can't see. Pay attention to this area here. Okay. All right.
To try and coordinate and not gotten anywhere with that. I am not even sure what he is going to do.
Judge?
Hang on, let Mr. J finish his point, sir.
I'm not sure if he's going to be testifying to battered.
Judge? Hello?
Mr. Owens, we can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Judge?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Judge?
Mr. Owens, I can hear you.
Judge?
Sir, I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Bless Mr. J. He's just done.
Judge Kramer?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Judge Kramer?
Mr. Owens, I can hear you, sir.
Judge Kramer?
I can hear you.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Judge Kramer?
I can hear you.
This is just classic. I just can't.
Judge?
Sir, can you hear me?
What am I doing wrong? Judge Kramer?
I can hear you.
Okay. So DB82, this is what's happening. What is happening? We're watching the hearing that was scheduled on Friday that for whatever reason was not streamed. I don't know what happened. I don't know why this happened, but it is on Court TV's website. And we're just having a brief chuckle at the situation that's going on with the audio because it is like a huge dumpster fire. And Owens interrupted Mr. J, who was representing the state, which then caused Mr. J to chunk his writing utensil. It's either a pencil or a pen, I can't tell. Then he sat down and just put his head in his chin, or his chin in his hand, and he was just done. And it is fitting because, like I said, Owens and Boone are like peas and carrots. I mean, it's just. Whew. So here we go. Judge, can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. What am I doing wrong? It's too much. Owens is too much for me.
Judge Kramer?
I can hear you, sir. I can hear you loud and clear.
Boone's over here in the jury box. They didn't let her sit at the grown-up table today.
Judge Kramer?
See if I can get a hearing that we can hear him.
Hold up a sign. Thank you, Nicholas. For the most of my life, I grew up in Texas. I moved there when I was 10, so I can really lay that twang on real thick. But the bigger picture here is that the state is, oh, for Pete's sake. Now he's interrupting me. Somebody from Orlando is calling. Looky here. Someone from Orlando is calling. Now, Mr. Owens, sir, aren't you on a Zoom call? Isn't Orlando located in, isn't Orange County, Orlando is in Orange County, right? I mean, come on, you can't put two and two together, but you're going to come up with a salient argument as to why Sarah Boone's interrogation video should be thrown out, suppressed. Lord. Doing too much. Too much. Here we go. And then it's just going to turn your volume down, you guys, because this is a rookie mistake. Okay. What he's going to do is he's going to answer the call, which will cause feedback because now, this is like the worst Verizon commercial ever. Can you hear me now? Good. Can you hear me now? This is the worst one. The worst. All right. Turn y'all's volume down. Here we go.
This is James Owens.
Well, Bryden, welcome in. I hope that I'm better than the other 4 live recommendations that you got. And I hope that you feel when this live is over that you made the right choice. Welcome. Glad to have you. Hey, Boo Sheet. Boo Sheet, I want to show you something. Looky here, Boo Sheet. Whole new profile picture. No more Tisha. Okay, I did that just for you. I want to be thanked profusely, as Sarah does.
Do y'all hear me now?
We've been hearing you. You are not you're, oh my God. Look, Mr. Owens, it's not us being able to hear you. It's you being able to hear the court. We've all been here for the last 8 minutes and 58 seconds hearing you just fine. You made the poor prosecutor throw his pen. Thank you, Tanika. Appreciate
One of my
that,
favorite
babe.
supplements is Cunol turmeric. Turmeric helps with healthy joints and inflammation support, and
Should have
Cunol has the
downloaded
number
this.
1 doctor recommended form of turmeric. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Fantastic. If you're into turmeric, there you go.
Counselor, can you
It's on y'all's end. We cannot hear the judge.
can you hear me at all?
You know what? SSJ, I am gonna I'm gonna update the
With us if we have some technological issues.
I'm gonna update the
Have him hold. Let's see if he-
thumbnail for part 2, and there will be a question mark, a perpetual question mark.
Yes, I can.
Mr. J, if you're able to start over and pick up or.
And maybe some bells of
On
malevolence.
the issue of, we were discussing the depositions of the.
You're
recently
welcome, Boo Sheet. Thank
identified
you.
experts. We had confirmed that.
I
Dr.
appreciate
Berkland's
that.
deposition Was October the 1st. Dr. Berkland, my understanding, is no longer being called as an expert to testify, but is only being offered in some kind of advisory capacity. And all efforts to depose Dr. Brannon have not borne fruit yet. You can pick up where you left off.
Yes, we have tried to get that coordinated and have had no success with opposing counsel. I am not even sure what this person will testify about. I don't know if it's another battered spouse syndrome expert. Florida law seems pretty clear that any other mental issues would have to be insanity. So I'm not sure exactly who this doctor is. We had prayed the court for relief and at least getting a report by today from him. We have not gotten such a report. So I don't know when we will be able to coordinate that deposition prior to trial.
Okay. Mr. Owens, with regard to Dr. Berkland, is Mr. J's position that that person is not going to be called at trial accurate?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So is there any reason to worry about deposing that person at this time, Mr. J? Okay. With regard to Dr. Brannon, are you still going to be offering him as a witness at trial, Mr. Owens?
Yes, Judge, and I'm going to be down there Monday night, and I'll be available all next week. I can do it at any time. The only two things I've got is the Dr. Homer's deposition on October 1 and the state's expert evaluating the defendant Sarah Boone on Wednesday, October 2nd. But I'm free anytime, and we can make Dr. Brandon available any day that week, I would assume. We just have to get with him.
Mr. J?
It would be helpful if I had a report so that I could craft a preparation for this person's deposition.
What is the basis to require the production of a report?
Under 320F, you in your discretion could order it to proceed along so that I do not have to engage in a fishing expedition for inordinate amount of time on the eve of a trial that is set to occur on October 7th, when I am unavailable on Friday next week due to an insanity placement hearing in Osceola County that has been previously scheduled and rescheduled numerous times. I am not opposed to working on Thursday, but Thursday is a court holiday, so we have arrangements. And then Wednesday.
If there are other persons in the media who are appearing virtually to observe this proceeding, I need you to mute yourself, please. There's an individual by the name of Lou. Sir, I need you to mute.
Okay, so I'm going to play this and mute it. I'm going to keep it playing because I know that they're going to come back, but I don't want to hear the whole, I'm just going to watch the closed captions for, because see, the problem here, what had happened was with the Zoom, Judge Kranick was not logged in his own account. And so he was having trouble being able to mute anybody. And that was the issue.
Whoever is participating in the hearing this afternoon, whose name is Lou, if you can hear me, this is Judge Kranick. I need you to mute yourself, please.
But you see how patient Judge Kranick is? Now, y'all know darn well that if Jen Liu were running this Zoom and this court situation, I would be like, if your name is Lou, mute your mic. I would be more stern, but he's very patient.
Is that your position that allows me to provide written reports?
Yes. The court's discretion, our expert was not produced a written report, nor have I gotten the CV to produce a report in efforts to coordinate discovery.
Okay, frankly, this is all just going to go from bad to worse. So here's the issue, okay? They need to depose Dr. Brennan, okay? But they don't know what Dr. Brennan is doing. They don't understand why he is being called, what his capacity as an expert witness. What is Dr. Brennan bringing to the table? Okay, because you'd ideally, and I understand what Mr. J is saying here. Ideally, what he would like is to see some type of report. If Dr. Brennan has met with and evaluated Sarah Boone, you would want to see the results of the evaluation, which is the report. And then you would, have your expert witness for the state look over that report and kind of help guide you to what you're supposed to be asking this witness. Okay. And that is an issue. And the other issue that gets, that arises in this hearing is the notice of the late filings. Okay. So over here remember on Friday when I was like, hey, let's go see what's going on the on the clerk site to see what's been filed. And I was like, there were there were responses from the state, but I could not find I couldn't find the original filing from the defense. Well, evidently, I was not the only one who could not find the original filing. Judge Cranick couldn't find it either. And that comes in at the end. And I'm going to skip to that part so we can like get there because here it is right here. All right, here we go.
Mr. Owens, the second paragraph of the second page of the objections seemingly refers to a different interrogation than what is made reference to in your motion to suppress of September 24th.
That's correct.
Okay.
May I be heard?
You filed your objections. As of right now, there's only one pending motion to suppress. Is there another motion to suppress that's going to be filed?
I'm not sure, Judge. I had some time constraints on filing this defendant's objections to plaintiff's exhibit list. I put those last two paragraphs in page 2 on there for the purpose of preserving that issue because my client asked me to. Whether or not I'm going to file those or not is an issue that will be decided on Monday when I drive down to speak with her. I may or may not file those, but I wanted to preserve my potential issue.
All right. So basically, he filed an original motion to suppress. We read that. Okay. And then now in some other motion on the second page in the second paragraph is a motion to suppress. And I think from what I'm understanding, it sounds like the other item that that the defense may or may not. This is Owens over here talking about. I may or may not. Well, bruh, look, it is, at this time, it was the 27th of October, we need to know what's going on here, buddy. So anywho, he was basically, he may or may not try to suppress the audio from the audio interrogation, the one that was done in the detective's vehicle. But I think the most interesting part of that whole sentence for me personally, right? Obviously to the judge, this is nothing, but to me as an observer, the most interesting part of that is I filed it because a client asked me to. This is what Sarah wanted all along. Sarah wanted an attorney who was going to do exactly what she said when she said to do it. No questions asked. While you're grabbing the sword of injustice, Rachel Lee, I shall be ringing the bells of malevolence. If you guys are a member, the bells of malevolence have been added as an emoji down below. If you'd like to have access to the bells of malevolence, consider joining members. We have fun over here. All right, here we go. Look at Sarah acting like she's so bored and above all of this, like she can't be bothered. Like the state's just messing this up. What are they even doing? Hey, Black Eagle. Good to see you. Welcome in.
Mr. Owens, can you hear us? Cannot hear you, sir.
Here we go. This is the worst panel ever. Oh, Lord.
That was my error.
What if any response do you have to? My concern is I don't have a complete picture of what is attempting to be filed, and you're telling me you're not going to be able to know until you meet with your client on Monday as to whether or not you're going to file a motion to suppress.
Okay. That's exactly what he's saying.
Trial in this matter.
I understand that, Judge. I had a deadline for filing these defendant's objections to plaintiff's exhibit list. Based on my last discussions with Ms. Boone, she expressed concern about those two statements that are on the second page, the last two paragraphs. I simply was preserving the right to make an objection on the two exhibits, which is the body cam of Bethany Rodriguez and the audio tape that was taken, the interrogation that was taken in the squad car by the two homicide detectives.
Okay. If I were Sarah Boone, I would be concerned about both of those as well. Okay. And here's why. Because she clearly, in what are they going to have the 911 call thrown out too? Are you going to try to suppress the 911 call, Owens? Because what Sarah said, I put him in the suitcase. And by the way, I want you guys to know for the record, I ran out of time today. Okay. But moving forward, as we get to the trial, I will have a little something for you guys to watch before we go live, like whenever, like a trailer that, so whenever you come in, if like say I schedule for 9 and you're in here at 8:55 or whatever, I will have a little trailer for you guys to watch, which includes part of the 911 call, because I had to go back and listen to the 911 call. And she absolutely, I can say unequivocally, I have listened to it because I had to clip it down and all the things, right? I've listened to this 8-minute and 39-second 911 call 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay. And she absolutely does say, I put him in the suitcase. She does say that. She does. And so I understand, Mr. Owens, that your client is not happy about the things that she said, both on the body cam footage and in the audio interview. And the reason she's not happy about that is because all of the statements that she made in the body cam footage, let's start there. The statements she made in the body cam footage were, we were having a great day. We were putting together puzzles. We were playing hide and seek. It was an accident. I fell asleep. That's what you kept saying over and over and over. So much in the very first few minutes when the officer actually arrives on scene, not we see her driving, but when she actually arrives and she first speaks to Sarah. Sarah is so hype that I've used the faces that she makes in that video or in that body cam footage like 30 times to make thumbnails. But the officer tells her, okay, it's okay. Calm down. I wasn't here. I'm just asking. I would want those out too if I were claiming battered spouse defense, because those fly in the face of a battered spouse. And there's many other statements that you've made during that body cam footage. There's also your ex-husband's statements that were made on the same body cam footage, although they would be 2 separate exhibits. Then we move forward to the car interview. And again, you are continuing to say, it was like the best adult day camp day ever. It was a good day. No barking from the dog, no smog, all the things, right? It was a good day. You say that repeatedly. Then we get to the next day and they call you in and you meet with the detectives. Again, it was a good day. Give them the full rundown. Dancing with the dog, putting puzzles together, arts and crafts. It was a fantastic day. Nobody got out of sorts. And then there are other things that you say in that interrogation that are not that if I were prosecuting her, which I wouldn't be because I'm not an attorney, but I've watched enough trials to understand where if she is going to use a battered spouse defense, the burden of proof is on the state. And so they have to put on evidence that discredits that defense, that shows no, she, while she may have been involved in a relationship that was toxic and abusive, and there were times when Sarah was a victim of domestic violence, but there were also times when she was the perpetrator of domestic violence. All those things, right? They're going to have to do what they have to do. And there are things that she says in that interrogation video that are not things that are said that are typical of somebody who has been diagnosed with the battered spouse syndrome. I'm not saying that she wasn't a victim of domestic violence. These are two separate issues. Okay. And so then on top of everything else, we have the videos that she herself recorded. Okay. And those say what they say. But here we go with Owens, which I'm glad he's saying what he's saying right now because it makes me feel validated. Sometimes when I'm incredibly hard on somebody, I feel like, man, was I just being a jerk? Was I just judging too hard? No, not this time. I mean, sometimes I am, but not this time. Okay. Remember when we were talking about this and Owens first started talking about this interrogation video, right? And it was almost as if he were hedging his bets. He was saying, if I can't, I'm going to file a motion to suppress. If I can't get the motion to suppress, right? If I don't win on that and the interrogation video comes in, then I'm going to attack the credibility of the detectives. And I'm going to tell the jury that they did not do things correctly, that Sarah thought she was coming in to pick up her phone, but really they wanted to talk about the autopsy, all of the things. Okay. And he's hedging his bets. And that's what he's doing with this motion that he's got tucked away somewhere that I can't even find. It's annoying. He's hedging his bets. But that's enough of that. You guys get the point. They're really not going to argue this too terribly much because there's going to be more disruptions. It doesn't really go anywhere. They end up going on the phone, taking it over the phone. And honestly, at the end of the day, there's another hearing on October 2nd. And that's likely because Judge Kranick has not ruled on any of these motions. And so there you have it. Now, there is another motion that was filed by the state that gives the notice of placement of a state witness on the state's Brady list. The state hereby gives notice pursuant to Florida, blah, 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 that the individual who is listed below has been placed on the state's Brady list, Joseph O'Neill of the Orange County Sheriff's Office. For additional information or to arrange for an inspection of related documents, please contact the undersigned assistant attorney. There's that. I'm trying to see what. Okay. There is something that Owens was supposed to have filed. All right, here it is right here. Per the court comments, the defense must file motion to suppress by end of today, 11:59 p.m. 9/27/2024. The court will rule on defense motion as it relates to hair and makeup in chamber. In chambers, sorry. I need to be able to read better. There is nothing that's been filed by the state or by the defense. Owens did not file whatever it was that he's supposed to file. Also, whatever they're talking about in the whatever they're talking about in that hearing with Owens and something he filed, I can't find it. So I don't know what he's done. I don't know if it just hasn't been uploaded or what the deal is, but he didn't file it. So here's the this is what's going to happen. Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024 at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The motions that are going it's a hearing. These are what's going to be handled. Defendant's motion to suppress defendant's statement at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Defendant's motion for a right to hair, cosmetics, and civilian clothing without restraints for trial. That's what they're going to discuss. I would imagine the reason the hearing is late is because that the state's expert witness is going to be evaluating Sarah that day as well. And this is what I think as well, Jenny. Jenny says, I think he's emailing his filings to the state and not filing them with the court. And that's not how it's done. You either file the motion or you don't. And I don't appreciate this at all. And I don't think the court does. And I don't think that the state does either. I think the state is incredibly frustrated with this. I think that they've been ready for trial. And that could be it too. Maybe he's just emailing it, but it has to be filed with the court. And I don't think that that's proper, Tanika. I'm not sure that he can do that. I think if you want to file a motion, it has to be filed with the court and the clerk. It has to be filed to the clerk. It has to be sent to the clerk because that's how everybody gets notice of it, because things happen with email. And, I think that, I don't know. I'm not an attorney, so I don't know, but it doesn't sound right to me. And I would be annoyed by it as well if I were, and I think that the state wants it to be made like official so that they know what to do. The state, they're not like Mr. Owens. Mr. Owens has taken, essentially shut his practice down and is solely focused on Sarah Boone's case, which is fine. I'm not judging him for that. Do you, boo? But the prosecution doesn't have that luxury. And so at the end of the day, they have to go and take depositions and all of the things. And that requires traveling and, all that stuff. So anyway, so at the end of the day, the state would like some notice. And I don't like I just, listen, I'm just going to say it how it is for me personally. Right. Okay. So here, Tanika says, the state responded to them, so they received service. The docket was updated today, and still none of those motions are here. Are there. It's fishy. Yes, exactly. Now, the thing is, he can file stuff under seal. Oh no. Oh, Jenny Mouse, are you falling for the Owen? No, Owens BS. Absolutely not. I know I do not like him. I don't like what he's doing. I think he plays dirty pool, and I've had enough. Listen, man, you wanted to take this case. You answered an ad from Sarah that was in a letter that she put with, sent to the court. All that we all know how you got here. All right. But at the end of the day, you knew what you were up against. You knew when the trial was going to be. It is what it is. And I don't like the way I don't like the way that I don't like the cut of your jib, bruh. That's what it is. I don't like how you handle things. I don't like how you handle yourself whenever things get too overwhelming or it gets too tough. You're talking, I'm overwhelmed and I have to do all the. You knew what you were signing up for, okay? You knew it. And I'm over it. I'm tired of the whining. So I've had enough. I'm tired of it. I'm over it. All right. Now, on to Vinnie Paulin Investigates. So, yeah, yesterday, this was uploaded one day ago. Hold on. Let me see if I can see. Yes, it premiered the 27th of September. I need a moment, so I'm going to start playing this for you guys. It's basically a recap. The reason I wanted to show you guys this is because Bankowitz and Owens appear on the panel. I think it's quite interesting, and I'm going to let it play. I'm going to do what I got to do, and I'll be right back. I'm going to be listening. It's not like I won't be here. I'll be right back. Give me just a sec. And then we are going to discuss. But it's better for me if I step away when I'm playing it, then I don't interrupt so much, and we can get through it in a timely fashion. All right, here we go.
And it's difficult to watch, but it's the video that Sarah Boone, the first video that Sarah Boone.
We're not going to play that video. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not playing the video. I refuse to play it. Okay.
One of the videos.
And I'll tell you why. The reason I won't play it is because it's out there. It's been out there for a very long time, and anybody that wants to see it can find it. It's not like it's hard to find. It's right on Court TV's YouTube page. I'm just not going to play it. Not because I think that it is cruel. And listen, we all know that family members sometimes stumble onto these YouTube pages, okay, to these YouTube channels. And what if one of his family members or friends stumbles on my little channel over here on accident? We had somebody who came because I was one of 5 recommendations. They rolled the dice and they took a chance on your girl. What if that was a family member? Okay. What if that happened? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to put them through that. We all know how much, we all know what's on that video. I'm not going to play it. All right. Let's let Vinny talk about it. This is an unfortunate pause, Mr. Politan. I do apologize. Let me play this and then we'll talk about it. All right, here we go.
And that's just a couple of minutes. Obviously, that's not the entire time that George is inside that suitcase, which brings me to my first question. And I think it'll be an important one at the trial. How long was George in the suitcase? When did he get in? When was it finally unzipped? Joining me, Court TV digital content producer who's been covering this story inside and out. Lauren Silver is with us, and forensic pathologist Dr. Priya Banerjee. Thank you both for being here. Lauren, I'll begin with you, and I want to put this up on the screen. We have somewhat of a timeline here of what's going on, but I want you to kind of fill in the blanks. It seems that he's in the suitcase by 11:12 or so. Falls
exactly.
So 11. What are they doing that night at 11:12 that gets him into the suitcase, and how precise is that time?
So we know that their evening starts at sometime around 4 p.m. when the two of them are at home. They're painting pictures, doing puzzles, and it starts with sharing a bottle of wine. At some point, they decided to play hide and seek. Sarah hid upstairs. She says George never came to look for her, so she went downstairs and found him. And at that point, they thought it'd be funny to zip him into the suitcase. Now, where we're getting that 11:12 time is that's the first video recording that you just saw that was on Sarah's phone. So at that point, he's already in the suitcase and saying that he's having trouble breathing.
And then eventually, somehow, some way, she leaves downstairs, goes upstairs, and goes to sleep. We get to the next morning. What's the time frame here? Is she finding him early in the morning, mid-morning, late morning?
She says she went up, went to sleep. She assumed that he would find his own way out of the suitcase. So she says she was woken up at about 11 a.m. by her phone ringing over and over again. She assumed it was her ex-husband, looked around and realized, I don't see George. So she went downstairs looking for him. And it's at that point that she realized he was in the suitcase. He was unresponsive. She couldn't wake him up. And her immediate response was to call her ex-husband.
So I'm doing the math as you're describing all this. Like, it seems at a minimum, it's 11 hours and 48 minutes. All right, Dr. Priya Banerjee, how long could someone survive in a suitcase like that? And is there any way to tell with any precision? Is it a ballpark? And what would it be like for that amount of time for George Torres?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me, Dr. Banerjee? We're having some trouble, obviously, with Dr. Banerjee hearing me. So, Lauren, as we get back to the suitcase and the time frame, let's get back to that morning. What's her story about what she does when she realizes that he's in the suitcase? I've got to think that she unzips it, right?
So ostensibly she unzips it, realizes she cannot wake him up. And this is at 11 o'clock in the morning. Her first response is to call her ex-husband. So she called her ex-husband. Her ex-husband came over. She insisted he come over. He also saw that George was unresponsive and said they needed to call 911. And then he went outside and waited until the police arrived.
That is
so I don't know how long it took him to get there. Police arrived at 1 o'clock.
And so police aren't there till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And at a minimum, I mean, the latest that he could have gotten in there was 11:12 at night. To me, this is a big piece of the story, a big piece of the case, because you're talking about, okay, you're playing hide and seek, things go awry, whatever. This is overnight. This is through the morning into the afternoon that George Torres is inside that suitcase. The other question a lot of people have had is about, how does he even get in there? But my understanding, George Torres was, he wasn't a huge man. I mean, he was relatively small. He was thin, not super tall. So in terms of his size, if you had to describe him, Lauren, or have they given a weight and a height in some of the documents? Do we know that?
I haven't seen it. I'm not great with those numbers, and I can't say that I've ever tried to put humans into a suitcase. So I don't know how well or how badly you would fit. But what Sarah does tell the police is that he got in willingly. They were laughing about it, and that Sarah zipped him up. But 2 of his fingers were sticking out of the suitcase, and they're having trouble getting them in. And she noted that the handle on the zipper was broken, and they were able to zip it closed with a paperclip. So it was a broken suitcase. The zipper was broken, but she still maintained he would find his own way out.
All right, Dr. Priya Banerjee, back with us. The question I have for you, how long could he survive in that suitcase with it zipped shut? We've got this seemingly 12 potentially 12 plus hours that he's in there, but how long would it take for him to no longer be able to survive?
Well, like Lauren said, it's not an experiment we run in any kind of way, you know, with real people. He does look thin, and obviously he was able to fold up. I don't expect that to be a roomy suitcase. And why I say that is your breathing is dependent on your chest and belly, right, rising and falling. So being able to take deep breaths. And if you're scrunched forward or folded into a suitcase, at that point, your neck, everything is scrunched, right? So it doesn't even have the room to expand. And then someone's going to get real tired, right? Between the stress of being in there, using up energy. And then this doesn't seem like a thin cloth. You know, it looks like a more rugged, even though the zipper's broken. So it's not going to be so breathable that oxygen's going to get in. So I'm treating it as sort of a closed space. And as soon as that air quality, you know, the oxygen runs out, that's it. It's going to be minutes. You know, we do know the physiology of someone being strangled. It's going to be longer than that because it's going to take longer for the air to, you know, oxygen to run out. But it's not 11 hours. It's going to be soon. And it's traumatic to think that he's asking for help and he's laughing.
And
Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to talk about here. The reason I wanted to play this part specifically with the doctor is because I did look at the autopsy report, okay? And George was 103 pounds. He was 62 inches, I think that they said, or something like that. Let me look. Give me just a second. Anyway, he's not a big guy, but what she's explaining is how he could, what happened, how the being inside of that suitcase resulted in his death, because positional suffocation happens when you are in a fixed position, a position that you cannot get out of. Okay. And when you're scrunched in a suitcase like that, everything is compacted. And the part of it's not, you use more. I mean, obviously your lungs are the main organs that you use to breathe. That's what exchanges the air that you take in, and then it puts the oxygen into the blood. Okay. That's what your lungs do. But you need your diaphragm also. And the diaphragm sits above your stomach. And so if everything is smushed and compacted, then that means your ability to expand your diaphragm to breathe properly is also compromised. Then you take on top of that the alcohol. This is not a judgment. I'm not judging, but these are all factors that were considered in George's autopsy report. You aren't able to exchange oxygen as effectively when you are inebriated. Obviously, the more alcohol that's in your system, the more difficult that it is. Now, so that's why I wanted to talk about this part, because I think it's important for us to understand how this happened, what happened to, he couldn't expand any of it, Tanika. He couldn't expand his lungs. He couldn't expand anything. And then you have to think about, like what she said, with the thickness of the cloth that's used to make the suitcase. It's not like you're getting a recirculation of air. So you're taking in the oxygen when you breathe in, but what are you blowing out? You're blowing out carbon dioxide, and there's no exchanging that air. It's not like it's getting recycled. So he's also, it's just bad news bears all the way around. It's not a good way to go at all. And so that's what happened there. And I will say this, there's something else. Now, that's how, about what the other panelists said about, she's never put a human in a suitcase. And, that's how I got my name, is making a joke about it, thinking that I wouldn't stay in there, obviously. But at the end of the day, you can't, it's not like there's a ton of space. All right. It's a terrible way to go. And think about it. Also, not only is it a terrible way to go, but as you're going or you're starting, the person that says they love you and cares about you is laughing at you. That's calling him stupid. Pappy, here's the thing. At the end we're here because Sarah Boone is charged with a crime, and we're talking about that crime. And at the end of the day, whatever George's shortcomings were, he didn't deserve to die that way. And Sarah is not the judge, jury, and the executioner. And so she's on trial, and we're talking about it. She's now decided that through her attorney, that the best defense is a battered spouse syndrome defense. And that's what we do on this channel, is discuss true crime cases. I mainly focus on cases that are about to go to trial, and then I stream the trials. And that's what we're talking about. That's it. He's a victim at the end of the day, period. And she is the perpetrator. And we don't blame victims on this channel, period. That's it. That's all. All right. So let's skip ahead, because we've all seen this part. We're not going to watch the suitcase. We're going to get over here to where he brings up the attorneys. Give me just a second to get there. All right. And then we're going to, the last thing we're going to watch tonight is that neighbor's, Vincent's statement, or watch his interview, his statement. We're going to listen to it. We can't watch it. We're going to listen to it because it's just audio. All right, here we go.
Here with what happened. Joining me, Sarah Boone's new attorney, James Owens, is with us. And James, I understand you're preparing for trial, so I know there may be some things you can't talk about. I just want to let the viewers know that that's part of the deal when we bring on the lawyer. And thank you so much for being here. Also with us, Sarah's former defense attorney, Frank Bankowitz. So thank you both for being here. I do appreciate it. So I wanted to point out a couple of scenarios here and kind of get your take on it. And I'll begin with Sarah Boone talking about when she woke up. In one statement, Sarah woke up to her cell phone ringing multiple times around 1100 hours. This is in a police statement. She went downstairs, did not see George anywhere in the apartment. She then realizes that he was possibly still inside the suitcase. Sarah unzipped the suitcase and found George unresponsive and not breathing. However, on the body cam video, I want to play that so we can see if it's consistent with that version.
When did you do CPR? This morning, when I found it. Before you called? Yes!
I would like to just interject here for a minute. We've all listened to that 911 tape. There's zero way that she was doing any type of CPR. And that's all I have to say. But here, you see how frantic she is. I believe this is the next thing out of the cop's mouth is going to be,
1 o'clock right now. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever.
Okay, so James, is there a problem here in when she's getting up, or is this story consistent, at least this part, of when she gets up the following morning?
Thanks for having me, Vinny. I don't think she had a watch on every time they're asking her questions about the times.
Stop right there. Stop right there. She didn't need to have a watch on every time that she was being asked questions about what she did that day. She has her phone in her hand. Stop playing, Mr. Owens.
Guessing, trying to give them an answer. So I don't think she should be looked down upon or considered that she's being evasive.
Oh, okay. You don't think so? All right. Chicken Shite says her smirks the other day made me livid. Thanks for being you, Jen Lou. You're welcome, Chicken Shite. I don't know any other way to be. Listen, I'm open for all opinions, but come on. Like we're not gonna blame the victim here. If the shoe were on the other foot and it was Sarah in that suitcase and George was doing what Sarah's doing, I would say the exact same thing and feel the exact same way. Period. It's not about the person. I can remove the person from the situation and just look at the situation, and the situation is horrendous. The end. I'm already over it. I don't think she's being evasive. Evasive would be, I don't know, I'm not sure, or answering a question by asking a question. That's evasive. She straight up lied. That's different.
I just think she didn't know the time frame.
Frank, from your perspective, is there a problem with her story, or is it something that is consistent enough for a jury to say, hey, every time she's telling the story, she's telling the same story about what happened that morning?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, I don't know that you can point to inconsistencies. I think it's, she's nervous, she's upset, she's basically kind of in a panic mode from what I see in the video and what I've seen in the past. And I don't know that you can point to those as being inconsistencies.
I want to go to another issue here, which is the state of mind that night and what was happening. First, Sarah mentioned that she and George had been consuming alcohol during the night, and she went upstairs and passed out in her bed. But here she is in her interview talking about the same issue of drinking that night.
You told me but you told me on recording, like, that you were not drunk, he was not drunk, you guys were having a good time.
I can't get drunk. Number one, I do not want to get drunk. I don't like being non-complimentous, having my wits about myself. I don't like feeling out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm just saying, you're making it sound like he's a raging alcoholic today, and yesterday I was kind of asking you those questions, and you're like a little defensive, like, no, we're not alcoholics.
I'm not.
We are not, but you guys were both sober on Sunday, to your knowledge, because when I said you went and passed out, you were like, no, I didn't pass out, I just fell asleep. So now it's kind of like, what is it? Were you guys drinking and it got out of hand and it got physical?
No.
Or is it?
Sunday was one of the better days that we have had in quite some time.
So where were you guys at on drunkenness, not drunkenness on Sunday? You told us you weren't drunk.
No, I was not drunk.
Right.
I was not drunk.
Okay, James, from the beginning of my coverage of the story, that's always been a big issue because you listen to the voice, it sounds like she's under the influence. Is this a problem? The fact that she seems to be denying that they were drinking, denying that she was drunk, or was she actually sober that night?
No, I think they were drinking, and I think that earlier in the day, she to the Publix, which is a short distance away from the.
No. Sarah did not go to the Publix. Maybe she did. I don't know. He's trying to get the footage from Publix, by the way. And listen, if you have never been to a Publix and you have the opportunity to go to a Publix, Publix makes the most delicious fruit bowls on the planet. I'm telling you right now, they are, I believe, the fruit is cut in heaven by angels because every single piece of fruit in the Publix fruit bowl is perfectly ripe, and they're all at the same ripeness. You don't get that one wonky grape, that you bite into and it's underripe, or that one wonky strawberry that looks good on the outside, but then you take a bite and it's mushy and it's too ripe. No, Publix does not do you dirty like that. Just saying. I was under the impression that George went to Publix, but I don't know.
Their apartment. And then later on the day, he went a second time to Publix and got another bottle. So both of those and found in the garbage can, and the receipts were found somewhere in the apartment. So they were the only.
This right here, what PSR 076 says, why he accepted this interview instead of in preparing his motions. This right here, has he not said every time we've heard him in court arguing his motions, the time constraints, that he was on this case late, he needs more time, all the things? Well, the judge said, you don't get any more time, bruh. And I can assure you that anything that you say in this interview right now is not going to matter in that courtroom because it's not admissible, and no jury member, even if they did watch it, they're not allowed to consider it as evidence. They have to put it out of their mind. And if they do admit to having seen it, the state's probably going to say, we don't want them any dang way. So this was an absolute waste of time. However, I'm glad that you did it.
In the apartment that night, so they both consumed. So they did drink quite a bit.
Frank Mankiewicz, let me ask you about that issue of the drinking. Is that a huge problem for Sarah Boone that they were drinking, or how does this play in front of a jury, and what does it mean?
Well, I would agree with Mr. Owens. They were drinking a lot. They consumed 2 full bottles of wine. They finished one and went out and bought a second and finished it. Whether in her mind at that point in time she can establish whether she was drunk or not, I think that's going to be a question for the jury. And they're going to have to look at all these tapes and look at the actual facts as to what she did, where she had gone, and the fact that she, quote, fell asleep, to me is consistent with being passed out. But that's to me. Fortunately, I don't have to deal with that. Mr. Owens does.
Mr. Owens, number 9, will be representing Sarah Boone at the trial. This is a big one now. I think this is probably the biggest one if there is an inconsistency. From the beginning, it seems that Sarah was talking about playing a game of hide and seek.
Okay. So in my opinion, if I were on the jury, okay, how does the issue of her being drunk or not play into the facts of the case? It doesn't go into any of the actual facts of the case, right? However, what it does for me is if she has been drinking, and you can hear on that suitcase video that she is clearly intoxicated, right? But yet you see her in the interrogation video saying, I'm not drunk. I can't get drunk. I got to have my wits about me. Okay. It goes to credibility. That's what it does. It's not she's clearly in denial. And I know that people are like, well, most alcoholics don't admit they're alcoholics. That's fine. You don't have to admit that you're an alcoholic, Sarah, but you do. I mean, you were drinking, right? So, that's the point. That's the issue right there. That's the problem, is that she won't even admit to that part. And that is like a little, if I were sitting on the jury, I would have to take off points in the credibility portion. I would, because she's, it's not honest. It's not honest. And also, I know that 2 bottles of wine doesn't sound like a lot. First of all, I need to see those bottles of wine. Okay. Remember at Johnny Depp's trial when they, talked about a mega pint, I don't even know what that is. But at the end of the day, we heard a lot about a lot of things that happened during the day on Sunday, right? All of the activities that they were doing. Okay. Did you ever, ever, ever hear her talk about eating in any of those activities? No. And on top of that, Sarah has a prescription. She is prescribed a benzodiazepam, Xanax. And Xanax, when it's mixed with alcohol, heightens the effects of alcohol. It's not a good blend. Okay. And so, and this is a fair point as well. Hannah says, Brian said her favorite was vodka. Just because she mentioned the wine, that doesn't mean it's all she had. Correct. I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot of other factors, but as far as how the alcohol plays into this, it's not like, a mitigating factor that, she was inebriated. And so therefore her judgment and her faculties were off. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how inebriated you are, when somebody is saying they can't breathe, they can't, you can't ever, you're not inebriated unless you're passed out, right? Obviously, if you're not conscious, that's a different story. But when you're taunting a person when they're saying they can't breathe and you never do let them out of the suitcase, that's a problem. That is a crime.
That George willingly got into the suitcase. Sarah zipped the suitcase up, and they were both laughing as she zipped him into the suitcase. But now I want to play the last time, James, you were in court talking about what Sarah's defense is going to be in this case.
Judge, the state doesn't know.
Okay, I have not watched this all the way through. I want to say this before we get going on this. I have been told in my chat that Mr. Owens is going to make some accusations here that could potentially be triggering to people. So just, I believe there's going to be an allegation of SA. So just be aware of that and take care of yourselves. If you gotta leave, you gotta leave. Jen, don't judge. Okay. It's important. You guys take care of yourselves first. All right, here we go. Oh, and also thank you to Chicken Shite and Neat Noodle for gifting memberships. I so appreciate that. If you were the person that got those memberships, be sure to thank those lovely ladies. Here we go.
Oh, what happened the 2 minutes prior, or the minutes leading up to, the time leading up to the 2-minute video? The state doesn't know what happened after the 2-minute video. Only Sarah Boone can testify to that. That's for her to testify to.
You're not in front of the jury.
The appellant has not cited, nor is our research located, any Florida case holding that evidence of battered spouse syndrome is admissible where the defendant claims accident rather than self-defense.
Who claims accident?
Are you claiming self-defense?
Yes.
Well, that's the first time that I've heard that.
Judge, I just mentioned it a while ago.
The word self-defense never came out of your mouth.
Judge,
words that you believe that the state's position is, what you believe that they're going to try to establish, that we don't know what happened before and after that video. The words self-defense have never been uttered this afternoon.
Judge, for the record, we're claiming self-defense. or utilizing the battered spouse syndrome in conjunction with that defense.
Okay. Right.
Not accident, as they want to allege.
Okay.
Okay, James, let me ask you.
Excuse me, Mr. Owens, it is your client who alleged accident over and over and over.
No malicious.
Okay? No malicious. It was an accident. All the things. Okay? That's what really happened. It's not the state that's alleging it. It's the client, your friend Sarah Boone that you just pointed to in the court.
If they're laughing, if she says they're laughing when she zipped them in, how does that equal self-defense? Is that inconsistent?
Well, like I said in court, the video is only 2 minutes long that Sarah recorded of George in the suitcase. So no one but Sarah knows what happened prior to recorded, and no one but Sarah knows what happened, turned off the video. So her to testify to and explain what happened.
All right, James Owens and Frank Bankowitz staying with us, still to come.
Pardon me, Vinny. Mr. Owens, I would just like to take this opportunity to point out that no one but Sarah knows what happened, okay? For sure. I won't argue with you. That is true. The only people that know what happened in that apartment all day, hour after hour, minute after minute, are the two people that were in that apartment, and that was George and Sarah. George is no longer here to be able to tell us his side of the story or his version of events. However, I would think that what likely did not occur after that video was taken was some kind of dust up or kerfuffle or a fight or how did Sarah put it? Ah, yes. Nobody got out of sorts. And you know why I know that? Because your client was photographed and she doesn't have any injuries. Any injuries. No self-defense, no injuries of self-defense, no injuries of where she's just straight the victim. None of that. I mean, you can see in her mugshot, there was no evidence of a fight. So exactly when was your client's life in danger such that she, because she has been diagnosed with by your expert, has been diagnosed and fits the criteria for a battered spouse, okay? When did her flight or fight or freeze response kick in exactly? What happened? Did George put a puzzle? Did she put a puzzle piece in wrong and George flew off the handle? I don't know, because your client said 11 billion times on her interrogation video, in the body cam footage, and in the audio of the detective's vehicle interview that it was a good day, bruh. I don't know. All right, here we go.
Was there a history of domestic violence?
Sometimes I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. I'm afraid of it.
Breeze Drive, Spring Village subdivision.
I'm afraid of his family.
One of the most successful true crime TV shows ever.
This is crazy.
Now has a
next question, which I think will be a major issue in this case. Was there a history of domestic violence? Sarah Boone, George Torres. Still with me, Sarah Boone's new attorney, James Owens, and her former attorney, Frank Bankowitz.
Let's all ring the bells of malevolence for Sarah.
Before we talk about this, I want to show one more video from another domestic violence incident. This one's from September 4th of 2019.
Thank you, Chicken Shite. I appreciate that, babe. Thank you so much. Yes, when I'm scared, that's how I do. I laugh like I'm possessed. That's on you.
George was hiding in the bathtub upstairs. Okay?
Yes.
So, he gave me his side of things. I need you to give me your side of things in person right here. I know we kind of talked on the phone, but I need you to tell me what happened tonight. So what happened?
Pardon my language, because it's not me. I was called a and
Okay.
and I'm not a mother to my son.
Okay.
All the while, nonetheless, I was sleeping before that.
Okay. So you're woken up to him calling you names. So you're saying?
I thought that I'm like, feed the beast. Go outside and smoke a cigarette with him.
Okay.
Try to calm things. Well, the whole time I was there saying nothing. Nothing. I was called names.
Okay. So you guys are smoking a cigarette, and he was calling you names, being verbally aggressive with you. Verbally abusive.
Before that, where I'm like, I don't want to get hit anymore. So I'm just going to go downstairs and smoke a cigarette with him to try to calm him down.
Okay. So you're saying, okay, I'm trying to get a timeline of things. So start from the beginning and give me the timeline.
Was that I was asleep?
I don't, not literal time, but in a reference of incidents, how they occurred tonight.
I was asleep, and again, he comes in and wakes me up.
He wakes you up. Okay.
He's out of sorts.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure things out.
Okay.
Where it's like, don't make it worse. Just go downstairs with him. Because he gets mad at me because I go to sleep.
Okay.
I go downstairs, smoke a cigarette. The whole time I'm being belittled.
Okay.
Pardon me for saying talk about.
Okay. Frank Bankowitz, is there a history of domestic violence in this relationship? And if so, how serious?
Absolutely. There's a long history of domestic violence, and I'm sure all of that's going to come out or has already come out with regard to the battered spouse defense. That's one of the principal elements is to establish a history of abuse. And there was a long history of abuse in this case, history of hospitalizations, history of broken bones, history of arrests. It's a classic situation of battered spouse syndrome, in my opinion.
I want to put this up on the screen. Sarah stated, this is June 15th, 2019. She was beaten up, face, head, legs, and arms. She stated that she begged George to stop. And George stated, you're going to die. Sarah stated that George punched her in the head, flung her off the bed. Sarah stated this incident occurred due to George being upset about Sarah speaking to a male. James Owens, this history that we are uncovering here, is the jury going to see and hear about this history?
Yes. The filed a notice of intent to rely on and in the notice and in the amended notice, we alleged that there were prior incidences of abuse. And Dr. Julie Harper to testify on that issue.
What is wrong
So
with
yes, there corroboration.
Mr. Owens, what's going on with your audio, bruh? Why is there always an issue with your audio?
In the terms of a prior history of George and emotionally and sexually abusing Sarah Boone.
And I'm looking here at George's arrest history. It looks like.
Okay, I want to rewind that just a little bit because I missed because I was so irritated with Owens's audio issues. This is a Jen Lou issue. I need to get myself under control. But I missed Bankowitz's response. I want to see his face when he makes that claim. Okay. All right.
On that issue. So yes, there is corroboration in the terms of a prior history of George and emotionally and sexually abusing Sarah Boone.
Have there, and I'm looking here at George's arrest history. It looks like June 15th, arrested for battery. June 18th, arrested for violation of pretrial release, making contact with Sarah when he wasn't supposed to. August 28th, 2019, a battery arrest. September 4th, arrested for battery. Is all of this connected to Sarah, or are there other cases that are out there? And do you expect the jury to hear the history of George Torres, James?
Yes, I believe those instances relate to the domestic George and Sarah, and I believe there is other incidences. As far as how much comes in, there are rules that come into play in the evidence.
Okay.
I have to make some decisions about that.
James, I hate to cut you off, but we are out of time. James Owens, we appreciate it. Frank Bankowitz, thank you both so much. One of the biggest mysteries surrounding this case has been, when will this trial happen? Sarah Boone?
It'll be October 7th, 2024. Be there or be square. Your girl's going to be covering all of it too. Don't y'all worry. All right, so here's the deal. I think that this issue of domestic violence, I want to make this clear, okay? I want to be very, very clear when I say this, okay? For me personally, the issue of whether or not domestic violence existed in that relationship is a non-issue to me. I see and agree that there was a history of domestic violence, okay? I know that there were many calls for service. I know that there were arrests. And I'm not even going to judge Sarah for taking him back or any of that stuff, because that does happen. It is part of it, okay? My issue is what happened that Sunday. I don't understand how it escalated to a situation where Sarah put him in a suitcase out of self-defense. Okay? There's a disconnect there. And this is it right here. Yana says, there's a big difference between being a battered spouse and having battered spouse syndrome. And that is where I'm at with it. I do believe that Sarah was battered. I'm not so sure that what took place on that Sunday was self-defense, because there was, okay, if Sarah had said, we were having a good day, everything was going great, and then I smoked the last cigarette and George got upset with me and we got into an argument and things escalated, that that makes sense. But from everything that she said that day, him even getting into the suitcase in the first place was a joke. They were having fun. So I don't understand. That's where the disconnect for me is. And also, yes, Sojourner, one of them was for violating a no contact order, no, not for domestic violence, and that's correct. But there were arrests for domestic violence. So you don't get a no contact order. First, you got to do something to get the no contact order. You know what I mean? So I don't think that there's anybody that is sitting here watching this and having seen any of the things that have gone on in this case, any of the interrogations, any of that stuff, right? That would say that there was not a toxic relationship, that there was I think everybody pretty much agrees that the relationship that existed between Sarah Boone and George Torres Jr. was toxic AF. I don't think that's not even anything that's in dispute. What I think the majority of us, myself included, cannot understand is what happened on Sunday that required Sarah to use self-defense, because that is what the claim is. That is what Owens is arguing, that it was self-defense. And there's some kind of disconnect there. And then you have the only person, and Owens has said this, okay, yes, Janice says, didn't they both have domestic charges against them? Yes, they did. However, the incident in 2018 that Sarah was arrested for and charged with, the charges were subsequently dropped. They didn't end up prosecuting the case. And, but as the officer that is in charge of security for the court reminded Sarah and all of us, just because the charges were dropped doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just because the state chose not to prosecute doesn't mean that it didn't happen. So, hey, I'm Kayleen, what you doing? Hey, what are you doing on October 7th, MK? I hear Sarah needs her hair did. You help her out? And I agree with what you're saying, Sojourner, as well, that there is an element of machismo in the Latino culture. I know this, being a Latina myself. And so I do agree with that statement. I do. And I think that just in general, it's very, very difficult for men report domestic violence. Men report being the victim of domestic violence significantly less than women do. There's a stigma around it. We watched it through the Johnny Depp trial. And so I think that stigma exists in all cultures. I think it's difficult for men. And I think that for that reason, I do think that I'm very interested in what Sarah's expert witnesses are going to testify to. And how they arrived at their conclusions. And I'm interested in hearing that explanation. I, much like I was very interested in hearing Dr. Lewis testify. And while I can't say that I wasn't disappointed. Like I mean, she testified and it was what it was. Like I would have hoped that there would have been more testimony about how she actually arrived at her conclusions. And it just, well, you guys were there. We all know how it worked out with Dr. Lewis. On bikes. And I would be interested in hearing more from Brian Boone. because I think that, and the fact of the matter is they are no longer together, and usually relationships that end don't usually end because everything's going great, right? Otherwise, what would be the point of breaking up? So for me, I mean, I get it that but I want to hear what he has to say. I'm quite interested in that. All right. So then this is the next thing I want us to watch, because this is the interrogation of neighbor Vincent. It was Vincent and Brandon who shared, they were roommates, and they were next door to Sarah's apartment, and they're so that's who this is. And I've been wanting to play this for a minute. It took, I've played it before and I've talked about it before, but it's been a minute since I've heard it. And if we're going to go over all of the things, we're going to go over all of the things. Now, this is the last thing I'm going to play tonight. It's about 19 minutes long. I'm going to try not to talk too much. I think, but that, and then we'll talk about what we're going to go over for tomorrow night. And I agree with you. Carolina says all men are machistas, Caucasian, Hispanic, and men of all race and color. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just know that a man is the head of the household, and us females keep it all together. I agree with you. I think that there is a stigma when it comes to domestic violence, and where the man is the victim. It's not reported as much. We went through this all with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. She painted an excellent picture initially, right? But when it got down to brass tacks and all the audio that ended up being played, it didn't, and you could tell that Johnny Depp was embarrassed about it. For me, that was my opinion. I know that there are people who don't agree with that. But for me personally, hearing those audios and also the story about her, running in fear from him, but he's the one inside the bathroom and she's trying to get in, and she's saying, I'm trying to keep him out. No, ma'am, that's not how a door works. An interior door. If he's in the bathroom and you're pulling on it, or you're the one pushing to get into it. He's trying to keep you from getting in. So like all of that stuff anyways. But let's listen to this. Let's listen to this neighbor and this video. Let me copy this really quick so I can put it in the chat. All right, here we go.
Yes, no, it's a single story, yeah.
Okay. Is your bedroom the one in the back next to the back wall?
Yeah, it's the one where you can like see the kick out from the back patio of their apartment there, yeah.
That's what I was wondering. So your bedroom is right next to their back patio?
Yes, yes.
So you get to hear everything that's going on in the back patio, or is it
on the back
airtight?
patio and the living room, because their living room at the bottom of their stairs is right next to where my head lays on my bed. Okay. So literally, and it was like an every night thing, with the beat, and it wasn't even just him on her. It was like they were going at it, like at each other, and it was really? Like, it was just really bad and really loud, like every night.
Was it, you mean verbally?
No, like physically, yeah. It was like.
So what were you hearing?
It was like, I don't like, it was never like I couldn't physically hear like hitting, you know what I mean? But like I heard like getting thrown up against the wall, or like I've heard thrown down the stairs a few times. Like it's just and it's like, that's a very clear sound, you know what I mean? Like you hear somebody up here get down here very fast, and it's like you just kind of know what happened. And it's like, and the reason that like I've never said anything about it, or I was just kind of minding my own business, is because I literally found out that this happened so often, and they were known by the local police here or whatever, that all the neighbors just stopped calling because the police were tired of it, pretty much. Like, not like tired of it, but
No,
it
I
was
know
like,
what you mean, though.
it was just like,
Yeah.
it was an every week thing, once or twice a week. So it was like, I don't know. And then there was the one night I was standing on my back patio, I was smoking a cigarette, and then she just randomly walked over and like started talking to me about how she like knows I can hear stuff. And then she was just like, if you ever hear anything like get really loud or whatever, like just, keep quiet about it. Like pretty much like she was like respectfully like try to mind your own, like keep it to yourself. I was like, okay. I was like, whatever,
You do you, I'll do me.
Pretty much that, I go to
gotcha.
school down here. I'm from New Jersey. I don't live in Florida. I'm just here to do my school and live my life, and it's like, so for her to tell me like, don't really pay attention, I was just like, all right,
How long ago was that, do you think?
A few months, probably like 3.5, 4 months ago, probably. She was just like telling me like, just keep quiet, like if you hear it, pretty much. And I was just like, whatever.
Okay. Did you ever hang out with them on the back porch?
Yeah,
That?
yeah.
Did you hung out with them?
Yeah, I have, and it was like, not for like long periods of time, but like, I'm a musician, so like they heard me playing guitar the one day, so they asked me to come over and tune their son's guitar. So I tuned their son's guitar for them and everything, and I was playing on the back porch because I write songs, so they were like asking me if they can hear it and everything. I was like, yeah, sure. I had nothing going on, so I went back there and I was hanging out with them and I was playing some guitar, and I did it a few times, and then I was actually in their apartment a few times. Like he was an artist, and he was showing me like a bunch of his paintings and like artist drawings and stuff like that. So I mean, like they were cool people, but like there was something going on, especially with Sarah, what I mean? Like there was something going on with her. Like you could even tell, it was like she wasn't all there.
Okay. Now, as far as like their drinking habits, did you notice? Were they heavy drinkers?
Oh
Did they drink at all? Or?
God, whoa! Like, that's like, I mean, like it was so bad. It wasn't all the time, but it was like there was some mornings where I'd be leaving for school at 9 a.m. and I'd like see him like stumbling off the sidewalk right here, like that drunk at 9 o'clock in the morning, or like even earlier sometimes. It's like, it's ridiculous sometimes. But I do have to say, whenever her son was around, that was the only, like, the times where I never saw them ever drinking. That was the only time, you know what I mean? But like, other than that, it was like, they were drunk all the time. All the time.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was very visible, you know what I mean? They were like functioning alcoholics, you know what I mean? It was like they had to drink to get through the day, type thing. You know?
Did you their drink of choice?
No, I'm not sure.
When you were hanging out with them, you never.
No, because like when I was hanging out on the back porch, they weren't drinking. We were just honestly sitting there, and we were smoking cigarettes, and I was just like playing some guitar. But yeah, they weren't actually drinking that day.
Okay.
And even when I was in the house, I didn't see anything that was like a bottle or anything that they would drink. Yeah.
Okay. How old are you?
20.
20.
Yes.
I'm gonna make an assumption here.
Okay.
And I don't mean no disrespect by it, but I'm assuming as a 20-year-old, you have smelled what marijuana smells like when it's burning.
Of course.
Now, have you ever noticed that coming from their place?
No.
They're not smokers.
Definitely not. I don't believe they're like towards like any type of drug. You know what I mean? Like,
good. How are you?
I don't think they like were on any type of drug. You know what I mean? It was just like very visible, like
they were
alcohol.
drinkers.
Because like
Absolutely.
I've had like uncles and stuff that have dealt with it, so like I just know what it looks like to be a heavy alcoholic. And it's just like that's what it looked like, that they just had a lot of drinking problems.
I got you. Yeah. Sorry about the sneeze.
Oh, you're fine. God bless you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Were you home on Sunday by chance?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you hear anything?
Yeah, actually, I did. Yeah, that night. So I was reading the article online about what happened and everything, and like, it's just like that story is just like, it doesn't match like what we heard. You know what I mean? Like when me and my roommate heard, it's just like it wasn't that quiet. Like the whole like it was a joke or whatever, or like whatever, But it was too loud.
Okay.
Like I literally like it. I don't know about the whole like what the suitcase deal was and everything, but it was just.
Let's do this. Let's back you up.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of get this to flow through.
Okay.
What time did you get up Sunday?
In the morning?
Yeah.
Sunday, I was up at 4:30. I was going to work. Yeah.
Holy cow! What time did you get home?
I got home at 1 o'clock.
So you were at home at 1.
Yeah.
Did you take a nap or anything, or you just power your way through it?
No. Because I get home and then I have class the next morning on Monday. So like I just stay up so I don't have trouble sleeping at night.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So I just power through the day.
Okay. Yeah. So you get home at 1. Was there already noise going on? It was quiet?
Yeah. It was. I didn't truthfully, I didn't hear anything until and before the whole loud noise and everything. I just heard the normal yelling at the verbal yelling and the whole arguing. I hate you, blah blah blah, whatever.
That was gonna be my next question. What kind of stuff were you hearing?
Yeah, it was just the normal. It sounded like a normal
it wasn't
couple.
Like a really elevated screaming. It was just
it was elevated screaming, but it was normal.
Their normal.
Yeah, it was
screaming.
Pretty much.
I
Yeah,
got you. Okay.
yeah.
So that's the normal back and forth. So that was basically going on starting when you got home.
I would say probably a little later in the afternoon. Later in the afternoon there. Probably around 7 o'clock is because I feel like that's when the drinks are settling in and they get a little more violent toward each other, and it's
Okay. So to answer the questions that are in chat, I don't believe that Owens stated specifically which neighbor he could not find. I would imagine that he would be wanting to find both neighbors, both Vincent and Brandon, as well as the apartment manager or any other witnesses that gave statements, not so much because they could be witnesses for the defense, but because if they gave statements, you're going to want to talk to them, especially if the state intends to call them. And I have not seen the witness list, so I don't know other than there's been an added witness. The maintenance manager was an added witness that they disclosed publicly. As far as the other witnesses, I can try to find out. I'll do that. That'll be on my list of to-dos for tomorrow. But to me, I find it interesting, right? And that's what I thought, Rosie, is that he was looking for Brandon or Rosalie. I'm sorry. I misread your name. I'm sorry about that. Rosalie is right. He's looking for Brandon. That's what I thought. And that he would that he was looking for Brandon, but I wasn't 100% on that. And so I didn't want to say for sure. And I forgot where I was going with that now because I looked at chat again. Oh, Rachel says, because in my opinion, he said George was bad. He did say that. And see, I think that him looking for Brandon is going to end up being a double-edged sword for him, because Brandon also is testifying to hearing something going down the stairs. And so I think while he might say that George was a bad guy, right? He also heard something that went down the stairs, and Sarah has never said that George pushed her down the stairs. Again, it's been the opposite of that. Everything was fantastic. It was a good day. So I think that, that's a problem. And, Sojourner, I've also considered this. Sojourner says, that's one of the problems with delaying trials for years and years. You can't find people. And I've wondered if somewhere in the back of Sarah, I excel at everything, Boone's mind, that if that's part of the reason she has been pulling the shenanigans she's been pulling, so that they can't locate these witnesses that heard things. And I'm going to ask around, because I'm curious about this whole conversation regarding Sarah basically telling Vincent, if you hear something late at night, some kind of trouble, some kind of fight, mind your business. Because That's, to me, it seems like the way that Vincent is describing the conversation is that this is something that just came up. It isn't a conversation where Sarah had, like, for example, like a black eye or something, right? And he asked her if she was okay. And she responded with, I'm okay. And if you hear things at night, just mind your business. You know what I mean? So I'm curious about that. I don't know if the witness list is completely sealed because one witness was made public. So I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure what the deal is. It just, yes, KPM, I have to agree. It feels backwards to me. I don't know. It doesn't, something about that doesn't feel quite right. All right, let's listen to the rest of this. Okay.
Were they outside or was this all inside? You remember?
It's sad, like truthfully, when I'm home and
Yeah.
stuff, like I'm a music producer, so I'm on my laptop a lot in my room, you know. So like, from what I heard in my room, it sounded like they were directly across from me, or like directly across and up. So like either in the rooms there, or like downstairs in the living room in that area right there. So
did you go out on the back to smoke at all that night?
no, actually, I quit smoking. I smoke a vape now,
Good
so
for you.
I stay in my apartment now.
Yeah.
It's just a little vape now.
Good for you.
Yeah,
well, that's a big thing. I mean,
well, yeah, and after the law changed and everything, I can't buy them anymore, so I kind of got forced into it, you know. So it was like, this is just like I needed it to like kind of ease the cigarettes off, but we're working at just trying to go completely off it, you know.
Wow. Okay, so but you're in your room. How late did you stay up that night, you think?
I was up pretty late. I stay up pretty late every night. You know, I just get so lost in my music. I was up probably till like 1 a.m. that night, probably right around there. Yeah. And then, like I said, we were just talking about it before, me and my roommate, actually. That night, right around, it was probably right around 10:30, 11 o'clock maybe, is when I heard like it get escalated, you know, like it's like the voices got louder, they were yelling, whatever. And then like it got quiet for a little while. And then I heard this really loud, like slamming noise. Excuse me.
Do you know about what time that was?
Right around 11:15. It was about 15 minutes span there, you know. And then
when you say a slamming noise, does it sound like something hit the wall?
Like something like was bouncing down the stairs between the railing and the wall and the stairs, like all the way down, like, you know. And it was clear because like my roommate even said it too, like he heard it up here and it kind of went away from him, and he's the front room here, and I'm in the back, so it was kind of like it was in the middle of the house
coming at
and came right at me, and it was literally right next to me. And I've never felt this before, but that night I was explaining to him the next day, because he had said he heard the noise, and I was like, dude, I felt the wall shake. Like it was literally like such a powerful hit against the wall, like the wall shook, and I felt it. And that was like something that where I was like, I kind of looked at the wall and I was just like, that was a little much. A little much. But like I thought, and this whole time I really, really thought it was like him, you know what I mean, like going off or whatever. But like I said, I don't know what happened inside, but that's just like what I heard, and it sounded like it was just bouncing, you know what I mean, like down the stairs between like the wall and like.
And that was like 11:15, you said?
Yeah, it was like because we heard like.
Okay, this is interesting to me because he's actually more descriptive in what he heard than Brandon is. And I am really trying to, I have never been pushed downstairs. Okay. I have fallen downstairs many times. Okay. I have also tripped over air. I'm very, very clumsy. But anytime that I've ever fallen down the stairs, my feet like came out from underneath me, and I mainly slid. I slipped downstairs because they were carpeted. But I feel like the added descriptor of hearing it bounce between the wall and the railing sounds more like an object falling downstairs, right, than a person falling down the stairs. I will say this. There was one time when I was little, 5 maybe years old, and my parents took us camping up in the White Mountains, but we had wasn't actually camping. We were in a cabin, and the cabin had stairs, and the stairs were wood, and I slipped, and I went down face first, and all I can remember is the stairs seemed like forever, but I was like 5 or 6 years old, so I don't even know how big they actually were. But I do remember because my parents were at the bottom, because I came down so fast and they were yelling, keep your chin up, so I wouldn't smack my chin and need stitches. I mean, we were in the freaking mountains. So, and I remember that, but I never hit the wall or anything or railing or I didn't even grab for the railing. So to me, it feels like what he is describing is not an empty suitcase going down the stairs either. This is why I just cannot let this go, but I just have this gut feeling that suitcase was upstairs. George got in it upstairs. And I do think that she pushed that suitcase down the stairs. And that is what Vincent is talking about. And that is what he heard. So, that's just my 2 cents. Okay, here we go. I'm going to rewind it a little bit because he's saying 11:15 is when they heard it, but that first video is 11:10 or 11:12, something like that. All right, here, okay. Let's rewind it just a little bit. Okay, here we go.
The powerful hit against the wall, the wall shook, and I felt it, and that was something that where I was I kind of looked at the wall and I was just that was a little much. A little much, but I thought, and this whole time I really thought it was him, you know what I mean, going off or whatever. But I said, I don't know what happened inside, but that's just what I heard, and it sounded like it was just bouncing, you know what I mean, down the stairs between the wall and
And that was 11:15, you said?
Yeah, it was because we heard yelling and stuff around 10:30, 10:45-ish, and then it got quiet for 20-30 minutes maybe, and then maybe 15, between 15 and 30 minutes around there.
No worries.
And it was then that loud noise, and then I heard shuffling around, and then just we both heard it at the same time. It just got silent, and I was just okay, I guess it's over. I guess that was the last then they're done. I guess they walked away from each other.
You didn't hear anything after that?
After that, not loud enough to where I could hear it through the wall. You know what I mean? I don't know if anything.
Did you hear
happened
muffled
after.
anything or just nothing? Only dead quiet.
Dead quiet after that. Because the walls aren't thin, but they're not thick.
Yeah, no, I got it.
I mean,
so they could have been over there talking normally, and you would never know.
Yeah, because if they're having normal conversation and stuff, no. But when they're fighting and they're arguing, you can clear. It's like being on the other side of a bedroom wall, because it's apartments and they're so close.
But at 11:15, that's the last thing you heard. And what you heard was a thump.
Yeah,
on the stairway.
it was right about that time, right around 11:15. Yeah, 11:15-ish. Yeah.
And you were up till about 1, and you heard nothing else.
No. Nothing. I heard, like I said, a little shuffling around down there, and then that was it.
Did you hear anything? Could you make out what they're? Hey, have him grab his buddy's stuff, his food, please. I feel bad. Your stuff is on the ground, and they're going inside.
Thank you very much.
That was nice of the officer.
Earlier, could you make out anything?
That was. Let me pause that right there. That was nice of the officer to be worried about his food. All right, that's all I really had to say. I will say this, Nicholas. I do find that admission by Sarah, and it's only on the 911 call that I'm 100% certain she said that. Okay. She did say, I put him in the suitcase. And we're going to like go all the way back to the beginning tomorrow. We're going to listen to that 911 call because I think it's important. I was watching the behavior panel. I love those guys. I know that they give some controversial assessments and that not everybody agrees with them. And even I don't always agree with them 100% of the time, but I do find them highly interesting and entertaining. And I learn something every time. There's something that they talk about when they do their behavior body language analysis, right? And one of those things, it has to do with 911 calls and the way that sometimes when somebody is the perpetrator of a crime and they're calling 911, sometimes they rehearse what they're going to say. Sometimes they just wing it. But there's an element of an over explanation that doesn't need to be there. And Sarah wanting to say, and she does say it almost immediately, we were playing hide and seek. For me, there's something to that. There's a reason Sarah said that, and it's she didn't just say it once on that 911 call. She says it more than once. There's also something that's missing from that 911 call. Okay. So the 911 call where Sarah is actually connected, the total call is like 8 minutes and 39 seconds or something like that. I know it's over 8 minutes and 30 seconds. However, the last, I think, minute and a half, Sarah is disconnected. The last thing that comes from Sarah's end is when the paramedics arrive and they tell her that he's been down too long. There isn't anything that they can do to help him. And there's no reaction. She almost hangs up as soon as that's out of the first response, out of the paramedic's mouth. You don't hear a cry. You don't hear a gasp, and oh my God, nothing. There's no reaction. And I do find that no reaction is a reaction sometimes. You know what I mean? And that's always like stood out to me. And I've always wondered about that. Why there was no reaction. And then when the cops get there, right? Because they're right behind paramedics. When they get there, Sarah seems so frazzled and so like she's having a come apart. And that reaction is not out of what you would expect out of somebody, right? I think that her reaction, that seems like how she should react. But then when you put them together, they're so opposite that it's odd to me. And I don't know. There's something to that. And I'm probably reading way too much into it. And it's probably going to be one of those things that's left over from the trial that it's not going to get an answer to, that I'm not going to get an answer to, but I'm just putting these things out there. All right, here we go.
Thing, or is it just kind of?
It's kind of just like I was saying. It's like you can like hear the whole like I hate you like, and then like you clearly. Thank you, bro. You can clearly hear like something like the I hate yous and the clear like cursing at each other and stuff, and
I'm going to bring my partner over here.
Okay.
I'm going to introduce her onto the recording. This is Chelsea Kepsel. She's actually the lead investigator on this case. I'm going to kind of surmise what you told me for her. And
I think you meant summarize. Kepsel. I've not been saying, I've been mispronouncing that poor woman's name this whole time. I'm sorry, Officer Chelsea Kepsel. I've been saying Copsel. It's Kepsel. My bad. I apologize.
At any point I'm misquoting you, please stop me, okay?
Of course, yeah, sure.
He got up.
Oh, thank you, Nicholas. I
went to work about 4:30,
appreciate that.
Got home about 1. Things were quiet till probably about 7. He said that then he hears the arguing. He said it's the normal. He's in his bedroom. He can hear the I hate you going back and forth, at a pretty much high volume, which is their normal arguing voice. This continues on pretty much throughout the night, but at right about 10:30, you hear a lot of arguing, right? It gets a little bit escalated at that point.
Yeah, it got louder.
And then right around 11:15, they hear this, he hears this banging coming down the stairs. He said hears bang, bang, bang. You could tell it's coming down the stairs because it starts and then it stops right next to him. And when it stopped, he said something just slammed the wall. He said it shook the wall. He said that was the first time he's ever felt like the whole wall shake like that. Mm-hmm. He said after that, it was quiet. He was up till about 1 o'clock. But prior to that, I was just trying to, did you hear any threatening anything prior to that? Was anybody screaming, I'm going to kill you? Or
no, I never heard anything like that. Not that night.
Have you heard that in the past?
No, I've never, not that I can recall, truthfully. Like, I can't remember ever hearing, like, I'm going to kill you or, like, any type of, like, threat towards each other like that. But, like, I've also, like, it's very visible with them sometimes. Right. It used to be, like, it'd be very loud arguing, and then the next morning you see her outside and bruises on her face, or him out here with, like, scratch marks everywhere, bruises everywhere, it's like, it's just very visible what was going on and everything. Right. And it was just like I was saying before, I just there was a time where she literally came up to me and she was like, no matter like what you hear, pretty much, like, just kind of keep quiet about it, respectfully, like, mind your own business. And I was just like, okay, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, he's 20. Bless his heart. Okay, so I want to ask you guys this. Is Vincent clear in this statement about who is screaming at who and what they're saying? Because to me, he's saying that it was essentially mutual, that they're screaming, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you at each other. I didn't hear him say, hey, Brad X, sup? I didn't hear him like distinguish and say, Sarah said this, that, or the other, or George said this, that, or the other. I didn't hear anything like that. It sounds to me like, and maybe it's just my perception, that they fought, they argued back and forth. That's what it sounds like he's saying here. So it's hard to, but I'll say this, it definitely sounds like there was an argument that night, but Sarah left it out of her interrogate of anything. She didn't say it on 911. She didn't say it on any calls or any interviews, any of the things, any of her statements, which makes you wonder, why did that get left out?
Okay. You remember when that was?
I would about 3.5, 4 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Not too long ago, but not like very, very recent.
Right. Right. Okay.
He said the arguing was nightly. He said the reason the front office hasn't heard anything more is because everybody just kind of gave up calling.
Yeah, it was like
Would you complain in the past or no?
No, I never did. It was because like they've been here for so long, and all the other neighbors around here have been here for so long and stuff. And like I was talking to some other people that I met through the school that live in the apartment complex and everything, and they were saying like, people just don't really like them all that much. They were like very. I guess it was just the way they came across, with everybody. It was just like the way they presented themselves. They were always drunk, like I was saying before, like always, like sun up to sun down type, like all the time. And it was like, I guess people just didn't really want to interact. Yeah, because it's like, I'm sure you guys have interacted with people who are very over the limit, like drunk and stuff, and it gets very annoying after a while, you know. So it's like conversations can't last more than like 2 minutes tops, and it's just like everybody wants to go, you know. But they're always consistent about like being there, and that's why nobody really liked them all that much, you know.
Yeah. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you think would be good for us to know about this or them?
I don't think so. I think I've pretty much like covered everything like that I thought was, you know, necessary from that night or whatever. Like what I've heard, you know, in the past and everything. That was just like, it was just, you could tell it was just a very violent relationship that is never gonna do any good.
Okay, so you know what's interesting about this whole situation is, you know, I'm sure that when the detectives pulled up, they had the list of calls for service out there. Okay. And it almost seems to me like what they that they deemed this a situation of domestic violence that occurred in this house, both parties being the victim and the perpetrator at different times, sometimes in the same instance, right? And that this was inevitable and they just didn't want to look any further. Sometimes it feels like that's how they took it. Because it seems like to me, there's not a whole lot of follow-up questions. You know, like they just take Vincent's statement, which I believe Vincent is being genuine in his statement. That's not what my point is. It just seems like I would have wanted to know what was the conversation, what prompted Sarah to say, if you hear something, just mind your business, you know, respectfully. Did she, what was going on? You know what I'm saying? It just seems like it's such a bold statement to make. And it's not in the realm of your day-to-day conversations that you have with your neighbor. You know what I mean? Especially a neighbor that you're not friendly with, you know, that you don't know. It's not like they hang out. They weren't friends. They weren't in the same age. And it seems like almost everybody in that apartment complex just did whatever they could to avoid Sarah and George, quite frankly. But it just, I don't know. I just feel like they didn't, I don't know. It just seems like that's how they took it. Yes. Okay. So I am not tonight because I've kept you guys for 2 hours and 30 minutes, but tomorrow we are going to go back through the interviews. We're going to go back through the 911 call because I think it's important. We're going to listen to what Brian Boone has to say, both of his there's 2 statements, if I'm not mistaken. One is the body cam footage, and then there is another audio of Brian's statement to detectives. And I do think that it's important for us to look at those, to listen to those and watch those, because I do think that Brian is going to be a witness. I think he's going to be called by the state because he's a literal witness. This is not like, he's not a character witness. Okay. He is a literal witness. He was there. And so I think it will be interesting. And Sojourner pointed out that a lot of people, myself included, have forgotten that Sarah called Brian that evening, somewhere around the time of the videos. And so I think that that's important. What did she want? Because she, you know, so I'm interested in that. And yes, the defense will be calling him too, but I think I can't imagine their purposes, I would imagine, are going to be calling him to, because apparently it's Brian's house that Sarah would escape to when things got hectic with George. And so I'm curious, about that and, all of those things. So I definitely want to know about that. What did she call and how many times did she call? Because I now that Sojourner has brought this up, I remember Brian saying that. What I don't remember is, thank you, Peter. Peter says 11:46, 20 minutes after the last video. Thank you, Peter. What I don't remember is like how many times. Like was it just one call? Was it multiple calls? What was the deal? And I will say one thing that Vincent said to me that's interesting in this is how the loud noise was then followed by quiet and like shuffling around. I would submit to you, ladies and gentlemen of the ward jury, that the shuffling around that we heard is Sarah moving that suitcase, that she had it because it was in two different positions, flipped over upside down once and then right side up. And I would submit that that's what they heard, is her struggling with that suitcase. That's what my opinion is. That's what I think. All right. Well, I think that that's all that I have to talk about tonight. We're going to have quite a busy schedule tomorrow, so I will be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And thank you guys for being here. If you haven't done so, give your girl a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I won't judge on the video. I would appreciate it very, very much. And I will look forward to speaking to you guys tomorrow as our Boone-a-thon continues. All right. You guys have a great rest of your night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to play the outro. I'm tired. You guys have a good night, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye.